Hi everyone. Okay, so here's the toy plane that we want to make out of a single sheet of metal. This one is not satisfactory at all, but it'll allow me just to show you some of the problems that you've got to consider. So if I flatten this, you'll see that we've got this difficulty in creating the tail fin without interfering with the body or the fuselage of the plane. And we also have to figure out where to put the wheels, either ahead of the wings or inside the wings. I'm going to show you the inside the wings version. And then also we need to put in a little bit of a cockpit. So it's quite a tricky exercise, this. Let me show you how to do it regardless for those who are interested. New part. My templates gives you that title. If you double click on it, you can just say Control C, delete this, and you want to save it straight away as, and then you can drop it into the naming box and then just retype your name, your full name, please, in sentence case. Or if you've got a file which is already sort of named, you can just right click on it and you can borrow those details. So I'm going to overwrite an old file or a new one, but I want to just overwrite it. Okay, so here we are. We go to the top plane because that's where we want to start in this case, and in this instance I'm going to create just a straightforward corner rectangle, and I'm deliberately not locating it relative to the origin because I want to be able to control the height and the depth of this item relative to that thing. You'll see why hopefully a bit later. So let's make that vertical. Let's get these to be symmetric. I've put in my little smart dimension icon there because I get tired of right clicking. This is going to be fairly thin, 6 mil, and then here's where the design intent comes in. I want that dimension to be smaller than this other dimension. So let's just drag that out. So from that point to that point, doesn't have to be smaller, but they're different, and that's just because should I want to move the fuselage around relative to the cockpit, I can do so now that I've got 2 dimensions. If I don't, then it's much more difficult. Trust me, this works. All right, so let's make an edge base flange out of that. So that's going to be a 1 mil base flange. In the properties bar, this will default to tear, so I want to get it to be arb round. And make it a ratio of 0.5, and then just make sure we use the ratio. Well, I mean, you could do it like this as well, then you have to set those, but this is good enough. And then just make sure in your sheet metal properties that your bend radius is the same as the material thickness in this case, and you'll see auto relief is defaulting to arb round. This just means that every time that I do a bend, I don't have to keep changing this so it just defaults to that one. Let's put in some edge flanges, so that's over there, or up here, edge flange. So it's going to drag this out, select the other edge, because I want 2 next to each other. It doesn't matter what height they are. Okay, so, wait a minute. 2 things about this. One is I want to change the default radius to give us a bit more body. So it's 3 mil, and you've got to make sure that the bend is outside, because have a look at this. You can see that is actually eating into this flange, and I want it to be adjacent to it. And then make sure the custom relief type, actually here it doesn't matter. At this point, that one doesn't matter. So that's not going to change. All right, let's put some wings in. So I'm going to put another edge flange in here. One on this side, click on the other edge. There they are. And this one, I would like to make sure the material outside is correct. Default radius is 1. Custom relief type is OB round 0.5 ratio. Okay, so here's the neat bit. 2 neat bits, actually. I haven't shown you the first one. If you've got 2 edge flanges which are parallel to one another, you can use the one sketch to control the other. So let's have a look at this first edge flange. This might actually mess up my wings, but I'll show you how to fix that. So I'm going to edit the first sketch. You see it's not fully defined. Go normal to. I would like this back end to be shorter than the front end. So if I remove that relation, I can then just drag that bit down, and then I can put in some dimensions. I don't want that one. I don't want that one. I want this one, 14, and that one at about 7. Great. Now, when you exit this, you'll see that it's changed. It's a bit difficult to see, but if I just back this up, let's do that. Okay, so you can see it's changed one flange according to that sketch. Let's change the other one. I'm going to use that back flange. I'm going to remove this top line, and then I'm going to use that's part of the back sketch. It's not part of this front sketch. But if I go to convert entities, you see it places it in this front sketch, the one I'm working with, and I can just trim this, or I can just drag these down so that that goes gray. And now there are 2 flanges controllable by one sketch. So I can drag this down and they'll both behave in unison. Okay, so let's just go back to our wing. Let's see, so there's a problem. And the problem is because I changed those 2 edges, that says we don't know where that second edge is. So let's just put that second edge back in. And then just make sure that that's all good. This might not work because, let's see, it should. 1 mil. Looks good. There we go, it's working. Okay, so here's another neat feature. If you've got 2 flanges which are on the same plane, you can use one part of the sketch to control the other half. So here's my first sketch. Let's go normal 2. I want to pull this in a bit and pull that in a bit, and then this is going to be my wing, so I'm going to control the edge bend. I'm going to control it both, its width and how far away it is from the front end, because I want to be able to either put a wheel in there or to put in a fillet just to make it look like the fuselage is bending up, curving up. Okay, there are 2 main ways of doing this. There's more, but there's 2 primary ways. One is if you use the spline tool. Now, if you spline tools directly from that edge, this is going to fail. So okay. So if I got rid of those, it wouldn't matter what spline you did. The problem with the spline is the maths of splines isn't regular, so it's difficult to get Solidworks to calculate how it should bend. You'll see that fails. Okay, so the way to fix that is, let's get rid of the spline. You have to have either a line or a point, an arc, to start with. So I'm going to keep sketching, and this back one I want to give an angle to simulate or to indicate like a cool little start of an aileron. All right, and this one here, I don't need it, but I'm going to leave it in as a construction geometry, and I can just control that height, 7 or something, and I'm going to want to control this later on. You'll see why later. Okay, so let's put a spline in. I'll quickly show you before I do that. The other way to do this, if you did want to use just curves, you would use the 3-point arc. You would go 1, no, yes, that's right, 2, seems to have chosen incorrectly, 1, 2, like that, and then another one. It's actually probably quicker than what I'm doing with the spline. It doesn't have as much control, and then you could just make these tangents, absolutely essential. And then you can control this using some dimensions. Right, so if I just put in a vertical there, construction line, and I got those to be tangent, then I can start fiddling with this to get it to kind of do that kind of shape. Right, then obviously with some dimensions in, they will give you more control, and then with the height, say that center, even more. All right, so that would be the simplest way. Then you don't have to have these lines. But let's do the slightly more complicated way as the example. So I'm going to use a style spline, try and get as few points as possible going here. 1, 2, 3, maybe. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I can just pull that around. There we go. All right, I'm not going to require you to dimension that. for this exercise. So, right, so if I exit this, you'll see I get a wing, no problem. I'm going to go back in, and if I now select this item and I mirror it, now I need to mirror either around the right plane or around a construction line. So I'm going to put a construction line in slap bang in the middle, and we'll say let's get that mirrored around that line there. This, if you leave it as it is going to fail. What you need to do is select the sketch and make it construction geometry, because we can only have one sketch in there. So you'll see now if I go into the second sketch, the other half of the wing, and I edit the sketch, there's that sketch that I've copied across. All I have to do is delete these 3 lines and select these other 3. So that spline, these 2 straight lines, not that one. Doesn't matter. And then convert them. When you convert them, it makes them into solid lines. And here you can either just pull this back and snap it, or you can power trim till it goes black, and it hasn't because there's something wrong. So I'm not sure what is wrong. Let's just see. Okay, I think it's got to do with this line that I just put in place. Ah, yes, quite almost certainly. So it's that, you see it's selecting the actual center line at the back instead of that little line there. That's the one I want. Once I do that, it should turn gray. We go, exit that, and there we go. There are 2 wings. Very cool. Okay, so just watch what happens at the bottom here. You can see that that little, these 2 pieces are going to be so close to each other. It's impossible for a laser cutter to cut that. So if I just change this angle to something steeper, like 70, that'll open it up. Okay, so just to show you how the dimensions are useful, there we go, there's our wing. And so in this video, I'm only going to cover fuselage, wings, and the bubble canopy, and then we'll show you the rest in the next video. So let's do the bubble canopy. This is going to be an unfold, cut, extrude, fold workflow, which I showed you in class. Collect all bends, flattens it out. We'll select that, we'll put a sketch on it. Okay, so here is another set of tricks. One is I want to just start off with a straight line. I want to position it. So that's, and give it a size. So that's its size, 22, and let's position it from there to there. No, it's not right. That must go there. And okay, so this is in case I want to move the canopy around. All right, so now normally I would do this one that I just showed you. I would go 3-point arc, I would go 1 like that, 2, and then 3. And then I'll try and manipulate it. The problem with this is it gets very, very tricky. You do need these to be tangent. Okay, the moment you start adding in, first of all, it's going to tend to want to snap to things. So you have to hold the Alt button down and then it still snaps. Secondly, if you put in dimensions that it doesn't know what to do with, so let's say 12, it's not too bad. Let's see if we can get this up to, not doing it today. Anyways, what it does, it does that sort of thing. All right, so it starts folding on itself. You have to select one of these and you have to drag it around, start snapping to things. So you can actually find it and you can fix it up, but it's fiddly and messy, and you can see what a pain it is. So easy way to do this is like this. We want a three-point arc from there to there. The reason I'm choosing a 3-point arc is I don't want it to be completely round. I want to be able to flatten it a little bit. All right. Let's dimension that. So we've got a little bit of control straight away. So let's make it, I think if you make it smaller, it gets taller. Let's see, 10 should be taller. Okay, didn't like that, so that's not good. 11. Yeah, so smaller equals taller. And now I want to create another, I want to make this look like it's leaning forward. Okay, so I'm going to create a second arc from there to there. So you can see if I chop that bit out, I'd be left with this bit. But I actually want to keep this arc as it is, connected to those pieces. That gives me greater control. I'll show you how that works. If you type split in at the top, and you get split entities, you can put a split point anywhere on this line. Just put it in somewhere close to that line, and then just drag this across till it snaps to that point. That means I've got two parts to the sketch, which means that I can make one of them into a construction geometry, and then these two are going to be doing the work of creating the canopy. So from here, let's give that one, let's make it about 23 or so. I can also control the height much more easily. So if I want to make this, let's bring it forward a bit, 10, there we go. So it's leaning forward a bit, and then let's just put in a fillet between these two. 10's too big, guaranteed it's going to fail. Says no, so 7 or 8 might do it. There we go. Okay, so I've got a fully controllable sketch, and I can use these ones here to change the shape of this. So for instance, I need to make this a bit rounder because it's, sorry, opposite direction. Let's go smaller, 20. Just because of the way that the bend is going to work at the back. Okay, so exit that sketch, cut, extrude cut, that sketch there, link to thickness, say okay, and then fold this back up. So collect all bends. There we go. I'm going fast because I want to not waste your time. But what I forgot to do is go back to the sketch, and I want to borrow the sketch because I want to be able to echo the shape. So I want these three elements, 1, 2, 3. You can do the whole thing, it's not a problem. Control C, exit. And so now I'm going to put in, let's just orientate myself, going to put in an edge flange over here. Just drag this up. You can see it's already messy as hell. Don't worry about it, just say okay. We're going to fix that up in the sketch. So enter the sketch, go normal to, just so you can see what we're doing. Pull this away a little bit, pull that away. And remember that 0.5 millimeter figure? Well, because that relief is going to be 4.5 millimeters wide, I need to make these 0.5. So 0.5. And I'm deliberately choosing the end point of this sketch bend, that's that flat bit, rather than the rest, the flange bits. Now, I don't need these, so I'm going to delete them. There we go, and that line stayed in place, and I'm going to just so we can see what we're doing, I'm going to say Control V. There's my canopy. I need to rotate it, so if you go to Move Entities and you go Rotate Entities, you choose the center of rotation. Now that could be anything, could be there, could be any point you want. I'm going to choose this point. We're going to have to go contra rotation, so 270 instead of 90 to get it to go flat. There we go. Cool. Right, then just select everything and we're going to move it. So you can't select and move because it's going to only move one point. But before we move it, remember this is larger than what we need because that's the cutout. So we need to offset this lot by 0.5 inwards. So let's go inside. And in fact, I probably don't need this outside sketch anymore. So I think just to control things, quickly give this dimensions. I'm just going to hit my enter button to speed things up and just make sure that these are tangent. So that gives me some degree of control. Now I can select the whole lot and say Move Entities, grab this point, snap it to that end. You might just have to move this one up till it snaps to that point. There we go. Okay, and if you really want to control this, you can give it a height. You might need more. Not quite sure. Yeah, you'll need more than that. So I'm going to leave it as is, and you could leave it like this. This would be fine. I want to just show you, I want to make a little bit of a canopy, so I'm going to offset the whole lot by 1 millimeter inwards. 1mm is too small, because if I exit this, you see it kind of leaves a gap. I know this just from having done this before, so I need to make that 1.5, but I want to leave that at 1mm distance. So it's just this bottom one I want to change. I'm going to delete that dimension, put the dimension back in, and go 1.5. It might change everything. Yeah, it's changed everything. Okay, let's delete that, delete this line, and put a new line in a little bit higher. Or you could have put it in the same place, it wouldn't have mattered. Let's make that 1.6, and then just trim out these edges. Or I could have just put a fillet in straight away. Extra work. So a fillet of about 0.7 or something. Just because in real life this is what you would do, both because it's a toy, so you want it to be rounded, but also because it's easier to laser cut if it's got fillets. Okay, so there's my little canopy. Okay, so there we go. We've got the sort of canopy and the door and the fuselage and the wings. We just need to put the tail. This is like a racer type airplane, the wings and the elevators. So I'll do that in the next video.